Today, I'm going to explain the 25-year import law, why it exists, and by the end of this episode, you'll know how to safely buy a completely legal Skyline GTR that you can insure and actually drive on the street. To find out how, I went to Toprank Importers in Cypress, California.
My name is Sean Morris, and I work here at Toprank International Vehicle Importers.
What do I need to do to get this car in America?
If you're in 48 states, it's pretty easy. You know, we have the cars here. You call us up, you pay us the money, we ship you the car.
Like buying a used car anywhere else?
Like buying a used car anywhere, yeah. I mean, you come out, and we prefer people come and have a look at them because, you know, they're 25, 27, 30-year-old cars. We want them to know what they're getting.
So if you're in one of the 48 states where it's easy to buy an imported car, all you have to do is call an importer like Toprank and you buy your R32 like any other car.
Now, if you're in Hawaii, sorry, difficult. You guys have special rules and regulations and I can't help you too much.
And we all know what the other state is.
California, we have our own EPA called the ARB. The ARB sets certain specific regulations for cars, emissions. In order for these cars to be exempt in California, 67 or older. If it's newer than that, 75 and newer is called direct import. We have to bring it into compliance. If it's 68 to 74, not even California seems to know what we need to do to them.
But for cars younger than 1967, the process is a little different.
So this car, 1992, we bring it into California compliance.
Basically, any car entering the state from out of the country has to pass rigorous emissions testing in order to be road legal.
We take it to the emissions testing lab. The emissions testing lab modifies the car, tests the car, takes it to the California referee. The referee inspects the car, tests the car. If it's good, everything's fine. They put what's called a bar label, Bureau of Automotive Repair label in the door jamb, and then you can smog the car afterwards, 2 years later, like any regular car.
So does that process add another cost on top of buying this car?
It does. In California, unfortunately, because it has to go to the lab and it has to, you know, go to the referee and do those other things. Like the cheapest car I usually do, it's around $4,000. Say the Cappuccino or something is about that. About $6,500 for most other turbo cars and GTSTs and Supras, ARC-7s, $10,000 on the GTRs, unfortunately.
The emission testing does add a premium on top of the car's price, but it's worth it because once you get that BAR label, you never have to worry about passing emissions again. So the car has to be 25 years old to be imported.
Yes.
Why?
Because. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was the answer. No, okay, well, because that's the way the rules were written, that's the way the regulations. So 25 is kind of an arbitrary number. In the late 80s, so there was a lot of what they call personal imports of vehicles.
Back then, you were pretty much free to import whatever car you wanted into the States. But the cars had to pass American safety standards, including the installation of safer bumpers and headlights. But a lot of people forgot to do that part. And as a result, a lot of illegal cars were just rolling around.
And so the NHTSA decided to set up a program in order for them to set up a licensing, which has become the Registered Importer Program. And that went into effect back in '89, and they also basically said at 25, nobody probably wants this junk.
Registered importers would be the only people allowed to import cars not originally made for sale in the US. That includes cars like the R32. So why'd they set the 25-year limit?
It's kind of old enough that it's outside of the realm of what anybody's gonna import. 89, right, so 64. Yeah. Back then, you know, who's gonna wanna bring in the 64 car? It doesn't affect new car sales.
Was there a certain manufacturer behind?
A Mercedes, yeah.
If you wanted to, you could order a Mercedes without the ugly safety bumpers and with other features that weren't available in the United States for cheaper than it cost to buy one from an American dealer. The process wasn't without its drawbacks, as you couldn't get a warranty on an imported car, but that didn't stop people from doing it, costing automakers millions in lost sales. So Mercedes and other manufacturers heavily lobbied Congress to pass the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act, which, as we now know, banned cars younger than 25 years from entering the country. But
25 isn't the only way you can import cars. So another legal method to import a car is that if you're what's called a registered importer, you can import a car that's less than 25 years old, and you have to bring it into compliance, and then you could sell it here in the US.
Registered importers are allowed to bring in cars as long as they make it comply with US regulations. But the procedure is a little different for cars less than 25 years old. What does that mean to bring it into compliance like that?
So, this is one section of the Code of Federal Regulations. In here is a thing called Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards.
This book had everything an automaker has to follow to make a car legal to sell in the United States. It was a dizzying list of things like crash safety standards to turn signal stocks to the standardized symbols on your dash.
You have to go through this, and you have to go through all of these standards. So that's the thing about being 25 years old. If the car's 24 years old, 364 days, you've got to do all the stuff. Turns 25, don't care anymore.
Wow. So what's this compliance procedure like? So crash tests are part of the certification process. What does that entail?
So we used to work at a place called MotorX, and MotorX did do compliance work, crash testing on Nissan Skylines. We did front impact and side impact testing back in 1999. When we were a registered importer, we had to bring the cars into compliance and tell them and show them and prove it and provide all the data for the crash testing.
That's right. In order to sell cars like the R33 and R34, Sean and importers like him have to buy cars overseas with the sole purpose of being crashed. As you might imagine, it's very, very expensive.
At a minimum, if you're starting to do stuff like that, I mean, you know, $250,000.
And that's just to cover crash testing. The car still needs EPA clearance, and if it lives in California, ARB testing on top of that. Bam!
Once you got $1 million deep or so, you're probably into your first car. That one car costs you $1 million. Whatever it is, if it's a Geo Metro.
Meet the 1990 Geo.
So you don't always have to wait 25 years to get your dream import, but $1 million is a pretty steep fee to skip the wait. What are some of the more popular cars that you import through Toprank?
The most popular car we import is R32 GTR. The next few years, it's still gonna be Skylines. I mean, people always ask us R34, 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 you know.
When that becomes legal, do you expect like a huge...
They're expensive. Yeah. The thing, 43,000 of these, 11,000 of those.
Not only is there a smaller amount of R34s, there's demand for them all over the world too. And there's no guarantee that someone in Japan will even sell you one.
Worldwide market. I mean, there are cars that are in Japan that you can buy. There's almost no amount of money that will part some people from their car. If you offered a market value for it, it'd tell you off, you know?
Even though the import laws make it difficult to get our hands on dream cars like the Skyline, the personal connections people have with their cars will make it even harder as these cars get older.
There's a little pushback in Japan on exporting some of the, it's especially the Hakos and this stuff, the old kind of heritage cars.
Yeah. It's like selling off history.
Yeah, and they're part of people's family, you know.
Sean told me a lot about how the import law works, but I wanted to know how he really felt about it. Do you think the import restrictions are justified at all?
I really think, you know, individuals should be able to decide what they want. The kind of society we have where people are gonna sue you for certain things, that opens up all those liabilities. And so I'm grasping for it because it's like, you know, I don't really agree with them, but that's what it is, and there's no way to change it.
This episode of WheelHouse is brought to you by Fixed. If you're like me and you're someone who loves getting dirty working on your car, then you have to check out Fixed. Fixed is a wireless OBD2 reader that connects to your smartphone via Bluetooth so you can easily diagnose any problems your car might have. Got a check engine light? Connect Fixed to your OBD2 port, a required feature on cars made after 1996, and Fixed will tell you exactly what the problem is and how serious it is, all in easy to understand terms. You can even turn off your check engine light when you've fixed the problem. If you're someone who won't let anyone else touch your car, Fixed is a must-have for preventative maintenance and troubleshooting. Fixed will even send you maintenance and oil change reminders to your phone so you always stay on top of your car's health. Fixed is car care made simple, and they have a special offer for WheelHouse fans. Go to fixedapp.com/donut and enter donut at checkout for 10% off your order. Click the link in the description below and get your Fixed today. Thank you to Sean, Taka, and Yaska here at Toprank Imports for having us here. This was awesome. Make sure to hit that yellow subscribe button right there. Oh, if you like the Skyline GTR, check out this Up to Speed on the Skyline. That was our very first episode of Up to Speed. Check out this episode of WheelHouse. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we'll put something there. Wear your seatbelt. I'll see you next time.